Okay, hello again. I really am going to try and make this the last video on, how this camera works and its ISO non-issue. I am going to try and clarify a couple of things before I draw this to a close, because I've had a lot of reaction really, and a lot of comments. The vast majority, basically agreeing with me. But there is certain element of people that, I don't know, have some preconceived idea of how a camera should work. And, if a camera doesn't work to their way of thinking or of how it should work, then it's wrong. It's wrong, it's bugged, it's flawed, it's just so ridiculous to be saying these things. The word flawed, I keep reading all the time, and I don't think people understand what flawed means. A flaw is a mistake, it's a blemish, it's something not right. There is nothing about this camera that isn't fully intended. Everything about this camera was designed and intentionally designed to be this way by Nikon. Now, that's not a flaw. Just because you don't like it doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it flawed, and it doesn't make it bugged. And I think people, what I've been trying to explain over the past few days when I've been making these videos is people need to understand the difference between something they don't like and something that's wrong, flawed or bugged. Because there's a vast difference between the two. Just because it doesn't conform to your ideas of how a camera should work doesn't make it wrong. And, I made a video the other day about Out of Camera, his YouTube channel. He put a video out claiming this camera was bugged. Right? He's the only one on the planet that is claiming this bug exists, because it doesn't exist. He's wrong. He's got a preconceived idea of how this camera should work, and because it doesn't work the way he thinks it should, he's now claiming there's a bug. This guy is wrong. Now, I've got more dislikes on that video than I have any other video. Now, whether that's him and some of his mates disliking my video, in which case, I don't care if you dislike my videos. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. Have the balls to comment. Contact me. Stick a message in and tell me why you think this video I've made about you or about Out of Camera. Tell me what you dislike about that video. Tell me how I'm wrong. I had somebody comment last night, funny enough, and he kind of backed him up. And this guy was wrong, again, claiming to be a software engineer. Well, I'm sorry, you're not a software engineer of cameras. Whatever you might... and that may give you some idea, I'm sure. But that doesn't make you qualified to decide whether a camera's got a bug on it or not. And he was... He was claiming I was explaining something completely different. Well, I wasn't. In that video, he's got his ISO set to the top dial, so that's exactly what I did. And I simply explained how it works in that scenario. What Out of Camera was doing was trying to claim that it doesn't work. But he wasn't actually proving that, because he had his dial all wrong. That's why it wasn't working. And he had it set up in the menu wrong. And again, it was just a complete misunderstanding of how the camera works. And he's still got his video up. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because, you know, if you look at the comments on that video, there are people that are agreeing with him and think because they've watched his video, they now think there's a bug in the camera. Well, that's wrong. That's wrong. It's not the camera that's wrong, it's him that's wrong. And that's, you know, what I'm doing. I'm just trying to correct things that are wrong. And it's like, you know, there are ways of using the ISO in this camera. There's several ways. You can go through the menu, you can use the dial. The choice is yours. Just because it hasn't got a dedicated auto button on the top of the camera, which is basically what people's issue with this is, but that doesn't make it wrong. That's deliberate. Nikon have done that deliberately because they want to differentiate themselves from Fuji. And I think a lot of the people that are complaining are people that have had Fuji cameras or know how Fuji cameras work, are looking at this and they're thinking, well, doesn't that work the same? Well, it's not a Fuji camera. I've said this before. Nikon aren't going to produce it and work it the same way, otherwise it's going to be accused, that people will accuse them of being a Fuji camera in disguise. So, you know, and so everything about this camera has been done deliberately by Nikon. It's not a flaw, it's not wrong, it's not a bug. It's all done quite deliberately. Now, you either embrace it the way it is and get the best out of this camera because it's a fantastic camera that is going to produce some fantastic images. So you either embrace it for what it is and get the best out of it, or go and buy something else. But please, my biggest critique about people in all this is don't claim it's something it's not. Don't claim it's flawed, it's not flawed. Learn what flawed means. It's not wrong. And, you know, these things aren't opinions. Understand what an opinion is. You can have an opinion, but you can't change facts. And if something is done deliberately, then it's not flawed and it's not wrong. It's the way it's done. That's not an opinion. Understand what an opinion is, because an opinion's an opinion. A fact is a fact. You can't have an opinion that it's got a bug in it. It either has or it hasn't, and it hasn't. You can't say the design is flawed when it's been done deliberately. That's not a flaw. It's been designed that way. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's flawed. I mean, these are basic understandings, basic English language that people seem to be clueless about. Some people. Anyway, rather than dislike my comments, if you know, I don't care if you can put 100 dislikes on my videos. It makes no difference to me. But I would much rather you have the balls or the guts to actually put a comment and tell me why you dislike the video, and we can have a discussion about it. Anyway, that's my morning rant, and I'm hoping that will be this will be my last say on this subject, and I will get on to other things now, I think, and leave this behind and move forwards. So I just wanted to have my say on that. That's my rant over, and I really feel there is nothing else to say now. I've said everything, and so I'm going to move on to something else. So let me know in the comments if there's anything you want me to cover on this particular camera, and I will look forward to doing something else rather than talking about ISO. Anyway, till the next one.